For over 1,000 years, Western powers have dictated the terms of global existence. They maintained control by enforcing rigid ethics and etiquette onto the rest of the world. Behind this stoic expression lies the reality of a brutal ultimatum forced upon indigenous populations: assimilate to Western ways, surrender your land, or die. The physical infrastructure of this country was quite literally assembled by marginalized people. African American laborers were forced to tend to the building of the nation under that exact same threat of violence and death. When you trace the origins of what calls itself the dominant culture, the label fractures. The true historical savages are the authorities who simply took what did not belong to them. This is where Steal This Poem enters the picture. It is a radical document written to cut through the noise, exposing centuries of rape and torture to reveal a colonialist dictatorship. It asks us to confront the math.
We are looking at 400 years of systemic white supremacy, 4 centuries of people bleeding, sacrificing, and giving up everything just to survive. With that unresolved trauma still present, traditional national holidays fall flat. It's difficult to find a Native American willing to pay homage, let alone celebrate Thanksgiving. And despite that systemic degradation, the inherent dignity of African descendants endures. You must fully understand the depth of that painful history before you can get fired up. Confronting the past is the absolute prerequisite for any justified modern rebellion. Channel that historical anger into the streets. Take red, white, and blue paint and tag the White House, the symbol of the system being challenged. Stand back and say, "Now take that." Past cultural pioneers like Gil Scott-Heron famously declared the revolution would not be televised, but the poem suggests he might have had it wrong. To make the world see that we aren't going to take it anymore, the modern revolution must be a highly visible spectacle. Blow it up for everyone to watch. Groups like the Last Poets laid the artistic roots for this kind of radical messaging. It requires inciting righteous riots and pandemonium to unapologetically proclaim, "I am African, and I can kick ass and take names." But the fight turns inward, offering a lifeline to the most vulnerable. Give the poem to the thugs on the corner to show them a better hustle. Hand it to the drug abuser in the cold, or the hooker selling her soul, so they know they are not alone. True rebellion operates on 2 fronts. You violently reject the oppressor, while simultaneously pulling the forgotten members of your own community out of the cold. Next, you take the poem to your local politicians and community activists. Put them on notice. Their lip service is no longer desired nor required, and if they can't put up, they will get shut down. This is a call to suit up for a multi-front war. A war against poverty, a war against governmental control, and a war against apathy among the lower-class masses. To win that war, you have to bring the message directly into the projects. These massive communities need healing to break free of the materialistic and pharmaceutical chains that bind them. The poem demands a harsh critique of our own cultural gatekeepers. It insists on reinventing hip-hop, stopping the gang wars, the misogyny, and the glorification of negativity, and replacing it with a song that keeps the party going on. Then take it straight to Hollywood. Demand to know how they can unscrupulously depict false images of African and Native Americans, measuring their worth with another culture's ruler. Reclaiming the community narrative requires forceful rejection. You demand that the madness from illegitimate local authorities and the false illusions manufactured by the media cease and settle entirely. The final stage of this revolution comes home with you. Look in the mirror and begin to love what you see. You reject the societal lie that measures your beauty in terms of Europeans. Think of the poem as a seed. Plant it in any ghetto in the USA so it can physically and spiritually beautify the landscape. You water it until roses, daffodils, chrysanthemums, and daisies grow. You restore and renew the environment until positivity becomes a self-sustaining garden. Tearing down oppressive structures is only half the battle. Ultimate liberation requires the daily, active cultivation of self-worth in the very places society abandoned. That restorative power has to be directed to the South, specifically to places like New Orleans. You let the people there know they have not been forgotten or forsaken.
The poem acts as a tool to rebuild both the physical levees necessary for survival and the emotional fortitude required to hold back the tide. When federal institutions utterly fail to execute their basic duties, the community has an obligation to step up and do the job FEMA couldn't. Awaken yourself from the passive illusion of the American dream. Get yourself a plan to be the man, and let everyone bear witness to your true potential. Stealing this poem is the ultimate act of reclamation. It is the necessary recovery of your agency, your history, and your future from a system explicitly designed to suppress it. Steal this poem.